So guys, can we have a round of applause for Alex Louey? Thank you, Alex. Thank you for joining us this evening.
No, thank you. Is it working?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Alex, tell us a little bit about how you started. There's obviously a rich history of some of those clients. Can you go back a bit for us?
Yeah, so I started in 2010. I used to be a project manager, worked all the corporate gigs, and it just sort of got boring for me. I just moved from bank to bank, contracting out. It was a good life. I worked probably 8 months a year and took 3 months off. I think that equals 12. But and then in 2010, I was actually living with my now business partner, Nick Bell, and he's always been an entrepreneur, and we just sat down. I was like, let's just do something. Let's just do something other than like work for other people. And I was like, oh fuck yeah, let's do that. Sounds cool. And so we brainstormed a few ideas, everything from like, it was like the Uber style laundry. Back then it was like dry cleaning, because we were pretty lazy, so we wanted people to dry clean stuff for us, and we didn't even want to leave the house. And we sort of went through a ton of ideas, and we sort of worked out that the easiest way for us to do something and the fastest way was for a service business. A service business, you can transform quickly, you can do things very quickly, you can start it quickly. Product business, a lot more sort of time and effort required into it. So at the time, Apple released their iPhone and everybody was building apps, and I was like, geez, let's just start a app development company. I was like, okay. And we started it with $3,000, a website, and rolled out from there. My background, can I code? No, I can't write a single line of code. I can't design, I can't do anything required to actually build the app itself. Right. But what I did have is I had a great business partner that was entrepreneurial. He was a great marketer. I had project management skills. I can run organisations. I can execute. So the only gap is, how do you start an app company with 2 guys that know nothing about software development? You hire. So back in the day, we couldn't advertise and find an iPhone developer. So we went to unis. The only place that you find people that actually touch new technology at the time. So I ran around doing posters, putting them up, looking for iPhone developers, and we can you hear? Sorry. And so it was through unis that we found our sort of first developer. From there, all we needed was sales. So Nick had a digital marketing company at the time, and funnily enough, our first app was a guy that wanted to grow his business, and he sold fertilizer, right? So his fertilizer that this guy made was very specifically targeted at growing weed. So he had a ton of money, right? And it was like, let's just build a weed growing app, which today is not that silly given that the cannabis industry, but back then. So that was our first app. And we sort of worked in the startup space for a very long time, for maybe about 3 years. Dealing with everybody with ideas. I've heard everything under the sun, and I've heard them multiple times, right?
Did you ever take on any ideas that you wish you hadn't? So looking at those clients, how did you assess what was a worthy project for you guys to work on?
You know what, as a service-based company delivering a service for a customer, I don't think it's our responsibility or my responsibility to make a judgment on someone else's idea. I've seen shit work because people have been able to execute amazingly well, and I've seen stuff fail where people have had millions of dollars of backing, but they were just poor at executing. So, as a company, we don't pass judgments like that, but we do our best to try to deliver the best software solution that we can.
Mm-hmm. So some of those early days and some of the challenges that you faced, obviously trying to win that new business and those new clients. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we did a lot of marketing, a lot of online marketing, which at the time was very new, PPC, SEO and all that sort of jazz. And we got a lot of clients because the market was ripe. Everybody wanted to build an app, right? And we catered to that market and we picked that market. At the time, I did everything. I had to sell, I had to project manage, I had to hire, I had to do the finances. We had a finance person do it, but I had to oversee it. So I had to do absolutely everything required to start and run this business. And it was tough, right? I paid myself no salary for 3 years. So absolute donuts. Every last cent was invested back into the business. And also, my first salary check that I gave myself was, I paid myself 60 grand a year after 3 years. Through that entire time, I lived off, I had a few rental properties and stuff like that, but I had no liability in itself. So I could walk away, I could completely fail and walk away and it not be an issue. I would walk back into a contracting job and just do that. Right? So my risk profile was a little bit less, but at the same time, I wanted it to succeed. So that's why, for 3 years, I didn't live off nothing, but I was on a pretty shit salary that I was paying myself through other investments that I've built up over time.
Mm-hmm. So your business partner as well then, can you talk a little bit about the relationship in those 3 years? So it must have been a difficult time not paying yourself. Yeah. What was going on there in the relationship between you two and the dynamics?
Oh, it was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. So Nick is one of my best mates. He's like family to me. We were, I'd worked with him 5 days a week, and then we would live at the same place and would go out on weekends and party for the other two. Oh, it was awesome, right? So was it for the 2010, the 8 years that we've been working together, we've never had a serious disagreement, because the one thing that we said was, we're mates first, right? Business is business. There's no egos, right? If someone can justify why they want to do something and why that's the right decision, then we'll go for it, right? It's not like because I'm the MD and he's a co-founding partner that he's any less important, right? It is, if he's right, he's right, right? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but let's just go and do it. Let's not sit around and try to work out for 6 months whether it's the right move or not. And it was a very good partnership, because if you can imagine not paying yourself for 3 years, right? And my rental wasn't a lot, right? It was about 40 grand a year, right? Which you can sort of live off, but not really. But my spending didn't really go down because I enjoyed going out. But the strain that it put on, missing out on life, right? You had friends that work corporate jobs, 120, 300 grand, whatever, right? And they would go out and party, and that used to be my life, right? I used to go out and have dinners and nice restaurants and all that sort of, and suddenly you couldn't. Like, I missed out on a Vegas bucks because I was starting the business. All my closest mates went, right? But I didn't, because it wasn't the smart thing to do. But the relationship between Nick and I just worked. He was driven. When I was down, he would motivate me. I probably would have quit 3 times in the first 3 years had it not been that he was there to support me. Right, I probably wouldn't be in the position that I am.
Mm-hmm. And what was the feeling like when you won your first major client? What was that like, and who was it?
It was awesome. Our first corporate client was Yarra Trams, and it was amazing. It was like you're working with all these startup companies with founders that are really sort of they're passionate, right? But at the same time, the difference when you land a company that you know can sustain your business model, it's just a different level. Like, you know that when you deal with an enterprise company, right, they're not restricted. They are restricted a little bit, but they're not restricted by really tight budgets, which means you can get the team to do better work. They can spend more time on the design. They can spend more time on the development, right? And we went out and we celebrated. It was amazing. Loved it. And you know what? Every time we win a big deal, I love it just as much as my first deal.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit like that before as well, and some of the constraints then, which being the red tape and getting to the right person, and obviously that decision-making process. Can you talk a little bit of that for us?
So you're talking about dealing with corporates?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Dealing with corporates, even medium size and up, it's often challenging. We have companies that want to work with us, or people inside that want to work with us, right? Because we're agile, because we deliver something different, right? But they can't because they're restricted by, let's say, a procurement panel, right? But sometimes you look and go, oh shit, let's go for something else a bit easier. But I think the attitude we take is there's always an angle. If you're good at selling, if you're good solid product, you will find a way in. It might not be the next week, it might not be the week after, but you've got to constantly persevere to try to win those big clients. So we've been working on like the banks for a long time, right? They're like they need companies to help them innovate. They've got big budgets, which means you can do some awesome stuff with them. But they can be tough to work with because there's a lot of red tape, especially in a bank or even government. But what happens is you keep on persevering. So we've been working on them for about 5 years, and literally by continuous networking, we hit the right people. And now we're growing and we're getting further with them than we previously would. And it's just finding the right people, finding the right angle, constantly talking to, I've forgotten the number of phone calls I've made to ANZ and speaking to the number of GMs and speaking to this and getting brushed off and, yeah, now, but not really. And then even doing work and then they're loving it and then suddenly get stopped by red tape. Like the number of times that's happened to us is, amazing.
And obviously, you base a lot of your business around innovation.
Yeah.
How do you stay ahead of the curve? How do you push that forward?
I think you need a good team around you. As I said, I'm not necessarily the most innovative person. I read a lot and I educate myself a lot on where things go, but I rely on creative people to come up with the really crazy shit, right? So facial recognition, what can we do with that, right? What can we do with voice recognition other than ask Siri what the weather is, right? Or call my wife or whatever. So we do a lot of hackathons inside the company. We also run a lot with our customers as well, and it's almost like you need to vision stuff beyond what you think is possible. And then try to aim for it and see how far you get along the line. So forget about how you're going to get there, just dream and aim for that. And if you stumble along the way, it's going to happen, right? Nobody gets there in a straight line, right? But you've got to dream big.
Mm-hmm. What is your biggest dream?
My biggest dream, I want to continue to build AppScore into Australia's largest digital agency focused on innovation. That means I'm up against the likes of Aegis. Right? I'm up against the likes of some agencies that have been established for 50 years, like marketing companies and things like that, and they've got thousands of people. If I don't get 1,000 people, I don't really care, but that's what I'm aiming for, and that's what I think I will achieve.
So in terms of your future direction and being able to achieve that, you've got to put in place certain things and processes. What some of the processes that you go through internally to drive that forward?
So processes are critical if you want to scale a company. As a business, we're very labour intensive. Like we hire developers. And one of our biggest challenges at the moment is that there's actually not enough good talent in Australia to support the amount of innovation and creative and digital that's going on. In terms of, and when you look at scale, you've got to look at all facets from what are the key success drivers, right? So sales is one thing, right? But assuming we can do the sales, we still need to deliver, right? We've got to work out, if you think about supply chain, right? We've got to work out how we're going to get that many devs, hypothetically, from overseas. Right? That's my biggest challenge at the moment. I can't find enough people to do the work that I'm being asked to do. So we're looking overseas in Ireland, we're looking overseas in South America, we're looking over in Asia and various different places. But other key thing is, as your company grows, right, I think it goes from where everybody is having fun and just getting the right shit done because you've got a small team, to suddenly you need to manage a ton of people, and everybody works differently. People like different stuff. Not everybody reacts to the same sort of team events. Some people don't like it, some people do. And what happens is, as you grow, you need processes in place so that everybody's driving in the right direction, right? You can't have one person that is, he could be an A-team player in a 5-person team, but when you stick him in a culture of 50 to 80 people, he's suddenly like a loose cannon, right? So these processes keeps teams in place, but you don't want too much process that it stifles innovation. You want processes of framework, so people know where the boundaries are. You don't want to say to somebody, you need to design this way, A, B, C, D, because we've been doing it for 5 years. You want to just give them a framework, right? Give them a goal, and help them aim for it.
Yeah. So it sounds like you hire on skills. What about culture and values, and does that tie into your hiring process?
Culture and value is actually the most important thing in our hiring process, right? As long as the person can do the job, that's the bare basics, right? We wouldn't hire somebody that couldn't do the job. But if they can do the job, and if I had 2 people, even if I had one that is less skilled, but had an awesome personality, culture, and fit and drive, they would win over somebody that had, superstar development skills any day. Because as I said before, right, a superstar, they get loose. Right? They start doing stuff their own way. Sometimes they think they're better than anybody else, which is not a culture that we want to foster, right? If you're a leader, we'll put you into a leadership position, but you've got to take into account that you've got to fit into everybody else's culture, because the team doesn't win on one person, right? And winning on one person, you might win for a little while, but it's not sustainable. Like, you can't build a company based on 2 superstars or 3 superstars. You need teams of people that are focused in the same direction.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about maybe some of the difficult moments you had? So project management is something that you're very skilled at. Is there any times you've been working with these large corporates and that project management side has maybe not worked out too well?
Happens all the time, right? If I told you every project that we did went as planned, anybody in software dev would probably know that I'm lying, because it doesn't, right? But some of the challenges and times that we have, and we have them all the time, is we agree on something, and then the stakeholders want something different for political reasons, right? And it just happens, right? And I understand that it happens, because this GM thinks that the app should go this way and do this, but someone else thinks, and we get stuck in the middle. We had challenging time with, I don't want to name the client, but yeah, it makes it a bit tough. Look, maybe I'll change it a bit, right? So rather than talking specifically about a client, some of the challenging times I had, back in the day when the company was growing really quickly in a particular spurt, Nick and I got a bit complacent. Right. Things were awesome, right? Deals were coming in, sales were being done, people were being paid, paying out big commission checks. Nick and I had this corner office. I was like, awesome, right? What are we doing there? We fucked around for so much, right? We'd be on Google, we'd be finding out shit to do on the weekend, right? Because we got complacent, right? And then what happened was, one day the finance girl comes in and we're not going to be able to pay people's salaries in about a month's time. And that was yeah, that's a serious issue, man. So Nick and I sort of looked at each other and was like, we got to fix this. And it's not hard. Nothing in business is ever that hard. You just need the motivation to find it and fix it. So what we did, scrapped the corner office, went outside and looked at what the sales process was, right? So we had a sales process at the time where between the customer signing up and giving us a yes and us getting the paperwork done, that took about a week. Right? And between then, in sales terms, a week is a very long time, because customers get cold, they change their mind. So we had a lot of deals dropping off, even though customers said yes. So my sales guys were booking all these deals that never came through. We were looking at the numbers going, oh yeah, mate, we're getting good sales. But the cash flow wasn't reflective of that. So we scrapped the corner office, we moved into, with all our sales staff, and we spent 24 hours looking at where things were going wrong. And that process is what we looked at fixing, right? If you get a yes, it means somebody wants, and they likes you, they want your service, and they see that you add value, right? How do we get that conversion done, right? So back in the day before, things like digital signing and all that thing was in place, we looked at it and I was like, you know what we're going to do, we're going to get a lawyer to loosely review it, right? And the second that somebody said yes, you'd send them an emails with high-level terms and conditions, and then it would be written in basic English rather than legal jargon. And then all they need to do was return to us and say, yes, we agree. For us, that was enough for us to lock in the deal, which means that you got customers whilst they want your solution, they're excited about it, right? They genuinely feel the need, right? And they'll give you their credit card to bill. So that changed the 7-day process into literally, I think it was about 8 hours, right, for someone to say yes. So that's how sales came back up, and probably within 3 weeks, we were profitable again. And that's the stuff that I was talking about. I was like, we got complacent because things were good. Things won't be good for a long time if you take your eye off the ball.
Mm-hmm. And after you changed that process and you started to gather some more momentum, what was coming after that?
So the next thing was, how do we scale this business to... How do we scale and build a super large business rather than just, a 15-person team? So we looked at the market, and at the time, our thought was, we got to hit the corporates, right? And corporates are hard. Forget getting the red tape. Getting to corporates is hard. So we worked out that we need a company that could give us cachet, give us some presence and help us get into these markets. And we thought, who better than Telstra, right? So we knocked on Telstra's door at the time because they had reach, they had access. Pretty much everybody at some stage is a Telstra customer, right? If we walked into a corporate meeting to discuss a mobile app that can change the way that a company re-engineers their process with Telstra, right, that's a lot stronger value proposition than saying we're AppScore, because nobody knows who AppScore is. Right? They're like, you're a dev company like every other company. And so they were our connector in the enterprise business. Through them, we opened so many doors. We could access, mind you, getting them was the first step, and even that was hard. But we didn't give up. We just constantly networked, and that's how we got in. We didn't get through by trying to get to their procurement people, trying to sell to them. We got through by networking to the right people. And and that's where all the corporate stuff started coming in, and we built that up to what we do now.
Mm-hmm. And talking a little bit like customer service as well, so managing them after that sales process, how does that look for you guys?
Customer service is always difficult, especially in software dev, right? The main reason is because expectation versus budget versus reality, it's chalk and cheese, right? Sometimes you'll get people that know that, like when you're working with a founder, they're pouring their heart and blood and sweat and passion into this idea, and they want to make it to succeed, but they might have a limited budget, right? And they want everything to be absolutely perfect, right? So in those circumstances, it's challenging because you don't want to say no to a person that, is putting so much effort into their dream. But at the same time, on the flip side, right, I've got my company to look after, right? I've got devs, I've got staff, right? And we have to, right? Like the brutal honesty is we need to make profit on it, right? So in those instances, those are the toughest customers to deal with. And God bless them, right? It's amazing that they've got those dreams, but as a service-based company, that is challenging. But when you deal with enterprise companies, it suddenly becomes a lot easier because it becomes a business decision. It's not personal. They understand that this is the scope that they did, and they signed off and they approved, right? And this is the budget that they've got to work with. And if they change their mind, they need to go back and get more money. And so the type of customers that we have now are a lot easier to deal with, right, than the customers that we did when we first started.
We talked a little bit before about, you know, some of the things that you're proud of as well, and the results that come out of working with these corporates. So can you talk a little bit about like that and how that drives you?
So I was asked for, you know, what's the coolest app that we've built? And to be honest, with the types of customers that we deal with these days, right, I don't see the apps as, you know, what's the coolest. At the end of the day, right, an insurance app is an insurance app, right? There's nothing really that cool about it, right? So, but the part that I really enjoy is the process that we take our customers through from where they were to where they are, right? So for one of our insurance companies, you know, something as basic as they initially had an app built by one of our competitors, and to actually get access to the app, I think it was about 14 steps. So you download the app, then you have to go into the insurance company, get your account set up, and then you'd get an email. You'd need to verify the email, and then after that, if everything went right, you could then use the app. So what we did for them, we ran some innovation sessions where we brainstormed what we can do. We got some designers on board, we got creatives on board, and we looked at how we can make that journey easier, because everything's about conversion, right? The reason that we all use, you know, Apple Pay is because I can tap and I can go. The reason that we use Visa Tap and Pay and willing to risk that someone can take our card and transaction $100 is because it's easy, right? So what we did was we turned that literally into a two-step process. Right? You download the app, you sign in on the app, you put in a password at the time, and that's all it asks you for. And all the validation was done by the systems at the back end. So rather than making the customer go through a 14-step journey, we've suddenly got customers going through a two-step journey. Right? And their adoption rate like doubled, literally within the time that we released it.
Cool. And thinking about tonight's topic, so if you knew then what you know now, can you touch a little bit on that for us, please?
Yeah. If I knew then, probably the biggest thing that is to never give up. I think, you know, being an entrepreneur, okay, you know, the word entrepreneur actually sucks, to be honest. Being an entrepreneur is not cool. Building something successful is cool. You know, and back in the day, I thought it was all about just going to work and creating stuff, and I didn't know what I was creating, right? But I knew it was hard. But I didn't know how hard it was. Like initially, I was like, "Yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm building apps. How cool is this, man? Everybody's talking to me. I'm a business owner." That's not fucking cool, man, because you're not doing anything, right? Like you've got no money. It's a struggle. It's hard. But if you continue to persevere and keep on pushing and find the angles, you will succeed. But the idea is, don't be precious about your idea. The reason that Nick and I work together well is because we're not precious about the idea. When we don't, in a business sense, there is no place for egos. Like there is no place, I'm right because I'm the MD, because I'm the boss, right? You can still make mistakes. So that's probably the biggest one.
Yeah. Guys, can we have a round of applause for Alex Louey of AppScore? Thank you very much, Alex.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex.